So here I have this assembly that is showing the bug in the constraint solver. So this assembly is built basically from few pieces, and this set of elements here is constrained with a range constraint that allows it to move in certain range. This is the flash 6 constraint that defines that involves the bottom surface of this I-beam and the bottom surface of this I-beam here, and this vertical set of this frame basically is constrained, so there is a fold constraint that defines the angle that this rotates about the axis. That actually there are two axes here, one from this set and one from this set, and this bottom part pivots about this axis. So the degrees of freedom show that this set of elements can move, this is true, and show basically that these elements can move along the vertical axis. What is wrong is basically this element here. As we can see here, this pattern is the first element in the pattern is constrained, so its position is fully defined in relation to this frame. So it is not true that it can move in those directions. It can only move up and down. So this is first problem, this is wrong. And the other problem is the bug in the constraint solver that shows itself when I try to change the value of the fold angle. So now I will show you how the assembly is solved not properly, and then what is causing the problem in the constraints. So it is not the assembly is constrained badly, but it is the problem how the constraint solver handles the constraints that are defined. So I will now try to put minus 45 degrees, and I am getting the assembly cannot be solved error message. I will accept that, and as we can see, this bottom part is basically solved badly. So first of all, this element here that is constraint is so basically the elements that are messed up are those with badly defined degrees of freedom. When I now just try to drag the assembly, everything goes together in its place, and the design doctor reverses the error indicator, this plus here. And as we can see, the assembly can be solved with the minus 45. It can be solved with any angle here, theoretically, because practically Inventor has some problem with it. So I will now put 0 again. We know that with 0 it was good, but now it cannot be solved. I will accept again, and again those elements that have not improperly indicated degrees of freedom are wrong. And now when I noticed when I suppress this flash 6, this is the flash of that and that allows this only to go up and down. If I suppress that, then this can still go up and down, but there is no limit. And what we can see here, that now the degrees of freedom are indicated correctly, because this can only go up and down, and all other elements has properly defined degrees of freedom. But what is different? I only suppressed the flash 6, and now when I put minus 45 in the fold angle, it folds properly. I will try to drive it to 0, let's say, and it drives. I can drive it to, let's say, 45. There is no problem. It is driving around. I will even do that. I will put 0 here, I will put 0 here, and I will drive it for 360 to 360. Yeah, so it is not a problem to, it will fly away. So as you can see here, the assembly can be solved for any angle in the fold angle. So okay, now I will unsuppress that. As we can see, instantly the degrees of freedom analysis shows other degrees of freedom for elements that are not involved in the flash 6 constraint. That also, this constraint does not alter the degrees of freedom that are indicated here. So this proves bug in the degrees of freedom analysis, and also the bug in the constraint solver related to degrees of freedom analysis. They must be related. And now when I try to drive that, we are instantly getting that assembly cannot be solved error. So other thing is, when I edit that, and I will just revert this, now we have again degrees of freedom analysis correct, because now they are not these elements have no degrees of freedom. And now when I try to drive the assembly, it drives. In terms of how the elements are connected, there is no difference whether if this flash 6 constraint is off or set, but when it is set to range, then the assembly suddenly starts to behave badly. So this basically proves that there is a problem with degrees of freedom analysis and constraint solving, especially when range constraints are involved. And this example narrows down the problem. What happens when you suppress or fix the flash 6 constraint? What is the difference for the constraint solver and for the degree of freedom analysis module, that it does affect those two in a way so they are now no longer capable of solving the assembly? So can you please take this data set, take this video, and find the cause of the problem, and please remove it from the software. Really, when you do that, it will be working.